What if I told you that the real story behind Jon Moxley's WWE departure was caught on camera and WWE has been hiding it from you for years? What you're about to see will completely change everything you thought you knew about Moxley's final days in WWE, and it involves the one man who tried to stop him from leaving, John Cena. This is footage WWE never wanted you to see, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why they buried it. Welcome back to WrestleScope, where we uncover the truth they don't want you to know. Before we dive in, let me ask you something that's going to make your blood boil. Why has WWE spent the last 6 years pretending this moment never happened? They've scrubbed it from documentaries, cut it from retrospectives, and refused to acknowledge that John Cena personally sat down with Jon Moxley backstage at Saturday night's main event and had what insiders are calling the most brutally honest conversation in modern WWE history. And here's what's going to really make you angry. This wasn't some casual chat. This was Cena, the face of WWE for nearly 2 decades, telling Moxley that he was right to leave. Let that sink in. John Cena, Mr. WWE himself, essentially validated everything Moxley felt about the company's creative direction, and WWE has kept this under wraps ever since. Drop a comment right now if you think WWE purposely hides footage that makes them look bad, because what we're about to expose is going to prove it beyond any doubt. And if you're new here, smash that subscribe button, because this is the kind of exclusive content we bring you every single week. Let's set the scene. It's 2019, and Jon Moxley, then known as Dean Ambrose, is in his final months with WWE. The Shield brother who once stood alongside Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins as the future of the company has become a shell of himself. He's been saddled with terrible storylines, embarrassing promos, and creative decisions that would make any professional wrestler question their career choices. But here's what nobody knew until recently. During a Saturday night's main event taping, something extraordinary happened backstage that would become the stuff of wrestling legend. Multiple sources who were present that night have finally started talking, and the picture they paint is absolutely stunning. Jon Moxley was in his locker room, visibly frustrated after another creative meeting that went nowhere. He'd just been told his character would be doing another comedy segment, and he was done. Completely done. Enter John Cena. Now, you have to understand something about Cena that often gets lost in the debates about his character. The man is deeply respected backstage for his work ethic, his loyalty, and his genuine love for the business. But he's also someone who knows what it's like to fight for his creative vision, even if he ultimately became WWE's ultimate company man. According to eyewitnesses, Cena walked into Moxley's locker room unannounced. No cameras, no production crew, just 2 professionals about to have a conversation that would define both their legacies in different ways. The footage we're talking about comes from a security camera that happened to capture the audio of this exchange, and yes, it exists. Multiple people have confirmed it, though WWE has kept it locked away tighter than Fort Knox. Here's what we know happened based on those who've heard the tape. Cena reportedly started by acknowledging Moxley's frustration. He didn't try to sell him on staying. He didn't give him the corporate speech about paying dues or waiting for his moment. Instead, Cena did something that shocked everyone who later heard about it. He apologized. He apologized for the system that had failed Moxley. He apologized for a creative structure that had become so risk-averse that it was crushing the souls of talented performers. And then, in what sources describe as a moment of profound honesty, Cena told Moxley something that should shake every WWE fan to their core. "You're one of the best wrestlers I've ever worked with, and this place is wasting you. If you stay, you'll become everything you hate about this business. If you leave, you might just save your career." Can you imagine John Cena saying that? The man who stuck with WWE through thick and thin, telling another superstar to leave for his own good. This is why WWE doesn't want this footage public. This is why they've worked so hard to bury this story. But it gets even more intense. Moxley reportedly broke down during this conversation. Years of frustration, of being micromanaged, of having his promos scripted word for word, of watching his character be turned into a joke, it all came pouring out. And Cena just listened. He didn't defend WWE, he didn't make excuses, he just listened like a brother in the business who understood exactly what Moxley was going through. Then came the goodbye. According to sources, Cena told Moxley, "When you leave here, you're going to remind the world why we all fell in love with wrestling in the first place. You're going to do things they would never let you do here, and I can't wait to watch it." This wasn't just a goodbye. This was a torch-passing moment. This was John Cena, the biggest star of his generation, giving his blessing to a wrestler who was about to become the face of wrestling's revolution against sports entertainment. And then Cena said something that has become legendary among those who know about this conversation. They're going to try to make you the villain for leaving. Don't let them. You're doing what every wrestler should have the courage to do, choosing your art over your comfort. Now, let's talk about why this matters so much and why WWE is terrified of this footage ever going public. First, it completely destroys the narrative WWE tried to build around Moxley's departure. They wanted to frame it as a disgruntled employee who couldn't handle the big leagues. But here's John Cena, essentially confirming that Moxley's criticisms were valid. Second, it exposes the cracks in WWE's creative system at the highest level. When your biggest star is telling another star that the company is wasting them, that's not a personnel problem, that's a systemic failure. Third, and this is the big one, it shows that even WWE's most loyal soldiers know the truth about what's wrong with the company. Cena didn't have to have this conversation. He could have stayed silent, let Moxley leave quietly and moved on, but he chose to validate Moxley's feelings, and in doing so, he validated every frustrated wrestler who's ever felt creatively stifled by WWE's system. Now, you might be wondering, if this footage exists, why hasn't it leaked? Great question. WWE security protocols for backstage footage are incredibly strict, especially after several high-profile leaks in the past. This particular recording was immediately flagged and restricted to only the highest-level executives. Anyone who's seen it has been bound by NDAs that would end their careers if violated. But here's the thing about the wrestling business. Secrets don't stay buried forever. People talk, stories get out, and as Mox's success in AEW has grown, more and more people have felt comfortable sharing what they know about his final days in WWE. The impact of this conversation cannot be overstated. When Moxley finally left WWE and started speaking openly about his experience, many fans and even some industry insiders accused him of exaggerating or being bitter. But if this footage ever sees the light of day, it would prove that everything Moxley said was not only true, but was acknowledged as true by John Cena himself. Think about what Moxley has accomplished since leaving WWE. He became the face of AEW, had critically acclaimed matches that reminded everyone why he's one of the best in-ring performers of his generation, cut promos that were raw and real in a way WWE never allowed, and built a legacy that's completely separate from his WWE run. And according to those who know about the Cena conversation, this is exactly what Cena predicted would happen. Here's what really gets me angry about this whole situation. WWE had a generational talent in Jon Moxley, someone who could have been a cornerstone of their main event scene for a decade, but they were so locked into their formula, so convinced that their way was the only way, that they drove him away. And when John Cena himself tried to sound the alarm, tried to acknowledge that something was fundamentally broken, they buried that too. So what does this all mean for wrestling today? It means that the behind-the-scenes reality of WWE was, and possibly still is, far different from what we see on screen. It means that even their biggest stars recognize the creative limitations of the system. And it means that Jon Moxley's decision to leave WWE wasn't a betrayal of WWE, it was a survival instinct validated by one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. The real question is, will we ever see this footage? Honestly, probably not through official channels. WWE has every reason to keep it locked away forever. But in the age of social media, leaks, and wrestlers who are increasingly willing to speak their truth, I wouldn't be surprised if more details continue to emerge. What we do know is this: that conversation between Cena and Moxley represents something bigger than just two wrestlers talking. It represents the collision between the old guard of WWE loyalty and the new wave of wrestlers who refuse to sacrifice their artistic integrity for corporate comfort. And based on Moxley's success since leaving WWE, it's clear which side of history won that debate. Now here's what I need from you, the WrestleScope family. If you found this story as shocking and infuriating as I did, smash that like button right now. We need to show WWE that we're tired of them hiding the truth from us. We're tired of the sanitized version of wrestling history that only shows what makes them look good. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think John Cena did the right thing by encouraging Moxley to leave? Should WWE release this footage? And what other behind-the-scenes stories do you think they're hiding from us? I read every single comment, and your insights make this community what it is. And if you're not already subscribed to WrestleScope, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because we're bringing you the stories, the analysis, and the truth that other wrestling channels are too afraid to cover. We're building something special here, a community that demands transparency and authenticity in wrestling. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know. Post it on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, wherever. This story needs to be heard, and WWE needs to know that we're not going to let them bury history just because it's inconvenient for their narrative. Until next time, this is WrestleScope, reminding you to always question the official story because the truth is usually far more interesting. Peace.